Afternoon and welcome sojourners to the Women's Leadership Mindset series presented by Teresa K Page LLC. My name is Teresa Page. I am the owner of Teresa K Page LLC, but most importantly, I am your host and I am looking forward to spending some time with you in the next few moments. So we have a lot of work to get done on today, but first allow me to introduce you and to invite you to connect with me. I would love to be able to work with you and to connect with you on my website, which is teresakpage@squarespace.com. You always are welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn, as well as to subscribe to my page on YouTube. And of course, if you need to reach out to me directly, you can also do so at my email at teresakpagellc@outlook.com. So what is our goal? What is our goal with the Women's Leadership Mindset? Well, as an author, a speaker, and a coach, as well as a mentor, my mission and what I'm most passionate about is being able to help professional women to renew their leadership mindset with fresh fire and fresh purpose. And I do that through leadership development conferences, as well as coaching, mentorship, motivational speaking, and of course with my book series, My Journey to Wholeness. However, what's very special about the Women's Leadership Mindset is a brand new initiative that is really intended to spotlight powerful women and women leaders, women in business, and how they serve the world through their professions as well as their purposes. So with a goal to help women to realize their unfulfilled dreams, as well as to re-energize the leader that they have always been. This platform is definitely designed to enhance, to empower, to educate, equalize, as well as emancipate. And so with our special guests, they will share their entrepreneurial stories, and they'll also will provide some viable resources and guidance in such a caring, professional, as well as impactful manner. So let's get down to business. I am pleased to be able to introduce to all of you my very first guest, my very first virtual guest. I welcome her to our virtual stage, Christine Campbell Rapin of Cochrane, Alberta. Yes. So Christine is a business mentor and consultant, and as the owner of Clear Acceleration, Inc., she has a no-nonsense approach to helping business leaders achieve consistent client growth by improving their client conversion rates. And she also has creative service-based business owners and consultants seek out to create consistent, profitable businesses by implementing proven marketing as well as business strategies and to scale successfully. So you see how we are able to contact Christine. We'll bring this information back to you a little later. You can reach out and connect with her on her website at christinecampbellrapin.com, as well as her email address at hello@christinecampbellrapin.com, and of course her telephone number. But we'll bring this back to you in just a little bit. So, but welcome, Christine. How are you?
I am fabulous, and I'm so excited for this first episode for you. This is a really big milestone. Congratulations.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so excited to have you here. How is the weather there in Cochrane? You look like you're already by the water, but how is it going on your side of the world?
I got to tell you, it's finally started to warm up. Last week we got revisited. It felt like winter and rainy, and that's not very usual for here. But today the sun is shining and it's not smoky. And so I am really looking forward to getting out for some walks this afternoon and really enjoying some of that beautiful outdoor air.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So I want to say thank you so much for taking us out on this maiden voyage with the video, the virtual version of the Women's Leadership Mindset. So we're going to get down because we want to hear all of the wonderful things that you do and how you support business leaders in reaching their goals. But before we get into the nitty and the gritty, we want you to take some time and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'd love to. I'm an adventurer by heart. And I am a Canadian, but I always tell people I'm a real global nomad. And I have lived personally in 5 countries, 30 cities, some more than once. And the interesting thing about that is, no, I didn't come from a military family. But just to intrigue you, I did sign the Official Secrets Act when I lived in the UK. So now you're
Wow.
wondering if I'm a spy.
Are you a
And I will
spy?
tell you that I just believe in people. And I think about when I was really young, I just always wanted to build my own version of the United Nations. Connected people who care, who are going to make the difference, who are going to show up with kindness. And I think the world needs more of that. And so through various plot twists, I find myself today an entrepreneur and really passionate about helping other business owners create the life they want and change the way business is done.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, can you dig a little deeper? And I'm also a nomad at heart, so I kind of feel you, but I haven't been able to trek across 5 countries yet. That's still on my bucket list. But tell us a little bit more about your profession. What actually drew you to it? What motivated you to start on your business path?
I actually think even from my very youngest age, I would ask my mom, like, what did I want to be when I grew up? And she's like, you always were intrigued by the world of business. When I was young, I would play shopkeeper, and I really saw that as something I wanted to do. And when I had my first passion growing up, it was creative in nature. I loved to design my own clothes. I loved art. I was not an artist, but I had a great appreciation for it, loved music. And so I started out really young in the world of business, and I have been educated in the world of business. And so to me, it was just the natural transition. I knew at some point I would create my own business. I will tell you though, the random Wednesday when someone reached out to me to say, do you want to have a coffee? I think you went back to Canada, but I'd like to talk to you about a business opportunity. I was like, I did not get out of bed today to start a business. Friday morning, I walked into the kitchen with my then fiance. We weren't quite married yet, and just said, while I was making a cup of tea and he was making coffee, I've started a business. And he's like, you did what? Like, I'm sorry, what just happened here? Like, this wasn't on the radar. We should probably have had a conversation about it. And honestly, it didn't occur to me to consult him. That's just the independent, prior to getting married woman I was. And that was the moment. And I said, I'm doing this for me. And it was time. It was time to start building something for myself. I had built a great career. I have had huge career success and huge career catastrophes. And I think that's really helped me know how to pull the pieces together. And while I am a business mentor and consultant today, it wasn't that I stood up one day and said, I'm going to do that. What was happening is I was building my first business as a side hustle on top of my corporate career. And people kept saying to me, what the heck are you doing 1 hour a day that's creating success? Because I still see you're taking kids to school. I still see you spending time on the weekend, and you're planning a wedding. Like, what gives? And I said, well, I treat my business like a business. And people said, okay, I need to know what that means. Because
Yes,
I
tell us.
heard that, but you seem to be doing something that I am not. And that kept leading to coffee or a glass of wine or a walk around the park. And that actually gave birth to the business. So that's an interesting plot twist too, as well.
I absolutely love that. And could you delve just a little bit more into when you say I treat my business like a business? So for entrepreneurs like myself who might just be starting out, give us a little bit more clarity about exactly what that means to you.
My belief, and from having worked with more than 400 companies in every shape and size, in every industry, in every permutation you can imagine, there are simple truths about business. And boy, does the world want you to think it's complicated. It's not. And I am quite disruptive in my belief that it is elegantly simple. So the first thing when I said I treat my business like a business was I recognize two things, and only two predicted my revenue. So if I didn't focus on those two things, I was busy and not productive. And those were meeting people, because your business will be built on strangers. And secondly, it's making offers. If you are not making offers, you will not create revenue. You have a hobby and not a business. And so I knew while I was building my first business 1 hour a day that that was my non-negotiable. I spent 80% of that hour, and sometimes it was 5 minutes in the lineup at Starbucks or getting on a plane or in between appointments. But I spent it saying, how do I meet new people? And how do I be sure I can create a value that is recognized as important priority, and lead it by asking, would you be interested in learning more? And so that is the first understanding people really need to get. And from there, it's understanding that three foundations lead to more success in those two factors. They are simple. Number one, you have to build an audience of buyers. Not an audience, but an audience of buyers, because this is a business. Number two, marketing is not about the tactics, which people misunderstand. Marketing is about movement. And so the goal in mastering your messaging is to figure out how do you take curiosity and create movement so that when you make the offer, you see a yes result. So I focus a lot on the messaging and helping people create predictable steps. The third thing, of course, is your offer. Your need to recognize that people do not want to pay for your time. They'll resent you if they do have to pay for your time. What they want is the result. So what is the result they seek? What is the value it creates for them, both monetary, personally, ancillary, and all kinds of different lenses of value? And you need to be able to be sure that if you can guide somebody to create the result and guide somebody to create the value, you must make the offer and lead that confidently. And if it's not the right fit, please be in integrity and refer it out. Because those three things, those foundations, is what I work on in my business. That's the core of what I do with clients, so that they too can create a business, not a hobby, but a business. And regardless of your goal line, I want you to be driven by impact first, and money will follow it, not the other way around.
Absolutely. That is so powerful. Thank you for giving us that quick education
You're
on
welcome.
that, as far as helping us to make that distinction in between a business versus a hobby and absolutely creating that value. That is so powerful. So thank you, because this is going to be so helpful. So not only to myself, because I am taking notes, if you didn't know. Taking notes, but this is going to be such amazing for entrepreneurs like myself who are just getting starting out, and even for those who may have been in business for a while, but not necessarily seeing the results that they're absolutely looking for. So I know that you work with a lot of creatives and service-based type businesses, business owners. What drew you to that particular niche within your organization?
Well, I love thinkers. I said my earliest passions were creative in nature, and I really think that creators are what are going to build the future. And so, what is heartbreaking, and what I was really starting to realize as I kept being asked to go for coffee, was that creatives were struggling to create the impact they sought, and they would give up on their dreams. And it's tragic and it's heartbreaking, especially when I realized, I said, they just don't have the same roadmap that I spent a career building. And I said, it is simple. It is not effortless, but here is the simple foundations you need to understand, and don't get distracted by the hype. And so when I look at creatives who innately are always creating ideas, I said, I want you to see the idea give life, because if you want to simply be the artist, then it's not necessarily the right fit to be the business owner. You can create beautiful art and support business, but as a business owner, it is not just the idea. It is the implementation. It is the movement, and helping people to figure out how to harness that creativity without losing the spark and yet creating big ripples is like play for me. I love it. And I really want people to see fun back into their business, because I said, I really think that creators are going to be what drives innovation, what drives the way the change I think we are craving: intimacy, friendship, kindness, all those, I'm going to say almost old school traditional values, are really being sought. We need to be the light. I'd like to help you figure out how to amplify it.
I think that's pretty powerful, because, doing the business of doing business can become a drag, especially if you are very creative and just really just want to be married to the process of creating new ideas and just being innovative. And so I think that's pretty cool. So what I would like to talk about a little bit more is, when it comes to business, it's always been said, especially in the small part of Georgia that I'm not necessarily from, but have lived in for the past 12 years. The motto has always been that people want to work with people that they know and that they trust and that they like. So, as you're working with creatives and helping them to achieve their goals and not to lose their passion, how do you go about creating that trust with the clients that you work with?
A big part of it is experience. We can talk a good game all we like, but it really comes down to experiencing each other through cycles of good things and cycles through adversity, because people simply do business with people. And your choice of how you create your business is a reflection of the people you surround yourself with. And so I'm aware just from the fundamentals that most people didn't get out of bed today to make a decision to purchase. That's just true, that most of us are influenced, but we didn't get out of bed today to shop, despite consumerism we're surrounded by. So it's, what can we do to spark curiosity? What can we do to create experiences? What can we do to show who we are? And one of the biggest challenges, which is sort of an oxymoron with creatives, is we have great creativity, but being visible in the light with our creativity feels really uncomfortable. And so we start to sound like everybody else. And one of the most important things about connecting is that you have to connect heart to heart, soul to soul, intellect to intellect. And we talk about authenticity, but the truth is you have to step into your creativity and be visible with it. Because often I was chatting with someone who is creating a business, and I said, what you are selling is creativity. It happens to be in the vehicle, in this case, of furniture. But I said, you're not selling furniture. Like, the furniture is the vehicle. You have to sell the fact that you're the creator. And when we say that, we're like, I feel that. But then I say, show the world your creative lens. Show your opinion. Tell me why you think that. Show me why you care. Show me why this matters to you. All of us go, I'd really like to go hide. Can you tell me some other way to go do this? And I say, to be honest, that is going to be where you need to get to. We might get there through a circular path, but it is a building skill. And you want to call your people. And so the most important thing I say to people is, to build trust, you have to show up as all of you. And we have learned, unfortunately, to compartmentalize ourselves. And if we let that freedom go, and one of the most important pieces of work I do with my clients is show up as all of you. I am a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a business owner, a friend. I am a lot of things. I don't let you own that label for me. I say, I am the whole of it. And this is the lens in which I see the world in business. This is the way I see the world in my contribution to the community. Because at the heart of it, we are all driven by the same things.
Yeah,
We want to know our time mattered. We want to contribute to the communities we're part of, and we want to improve the circumstances of people in our lives. And so if we connect at that level, trust becomes easier. And how you walk your walk matters. Don't for one second think that you can talk a good game and not execute it and people trust you. It doesn't work that
absolutely.
way.
That's absolutely powerful. But I love that the way you said heart to heart, intellect to intellect. That is so powerful. And I love the way showing up authentically and showing up as all of yourself. So that is really powerful and really basically presenting your creativity instead of what it is that you do, that vehicle. I do like that. So that's awesome. So I want you to take us behind the scenes. So you've given us some insight on who your niche is about, what your business is about, how you establish trust. So take us behind the scenes. I know that you've had some experiences because you already had a substantial career background before you started your business. But share with us maybe either a very intense or a funny story that an adventure, a behind the scenes adventure that you have experienced in building your business.
The first really big light bulb I had was a couple of years ago, or maybe 18 months ago. And that is about, if you don't see it, you have to go create it. And so I was busily doing my own business, but I was watching my peer group struggle. And I was in a lot of rooms with new budding entrepreneurs, and you are the sum of the people you're around, but we were striving for mediocrity, not striving for greatness. And I mean greatness as an impact. And we were happy saying life is tough. There's no money. COVID has made life difficult. And it was really that kind of mental stewing pot that was happening.
Mhm.
And I just felt very at the heart different. I said, you can create business in any economy. And I know that because I have been 25 years through every cycle of the economy. And I said, I think the wrong conversations are happening
Yep.
in the business community. I kept hearing the highlight reel where all you needed to do was post on social media and your business would be a multi-million dollar enterprise. I saw people saying, all I do is drink cocktails and swan around the beach. And hey, isn't it life great being a business owner? And I kept thinking, like, we are setting ourselves up for missed expectations. And so I found myself seeking out different rooms. And I said, I think the wrong conversations are happening. And so someone said to me in a very kind, challenging way, what are you going to do about that? And I said, well, I guess I have to create the conversation. And they're like, that's the right answer. So what are you going to do? And I'm like, well, I've shared platforms with other people. I've co-created a lot of things, just like you and I are doing here. And I said, maybe I need to curate the conversation. So I had this idea. It was February. I did nothing with it until it was May. And then I was getting tired of this bigger voice that kept saying, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? So I took some time out of my business. I have what I call CEO days where I take a blank notebook and say, if I was dreaming, what would I dream? If I could see my business and I got out of my way and I stopped the excuses, what would I dream? And I said, it's time to create an event. And so in that moment, sitting in the spa, I made 10 phone calls in the spa. Thankfully, I was by myself in that room because it was really not really respectful of the rules. But I made 10 phone calls to people I respect and said, I'm going to change the conversation. I want to talk about the elephant in the room. I want to provide tactical advice, and I want people to be seeing people walk that talk as an alternate story to what was being happening in the marketplace. And I did get 10 yeses. They're like, okay, I'm in. Tell me what it is. I'll support you. And I said, it's going to be a hot mess. I don't know what I'm doing. And I stepped into the room and they said, what do you need? And I thought it could be effortless. And it wasn't like it was effortless, but I said, if I just asked the right questions, if I had the courage to stand up, and I gave myself a short rope because I also know myself. I said, I could plan this a year from now and do nothing about it for 9 months, but it would
Right.
sit in the back of my mind. So I said, that might make me crazy. So I'm going to give myself 6 weeks. And it wasn't about creating income. It wasn't about creating this big thing. I said, I'm going to learn how to change the conversation. And I launched and had my first event. And I did it last July. And so I said it was about 18 months ago and this kicked off. And I proved a point because what I see is people taking the convenient route to give up on their dreams. And Q2, which we're just wrapping up here, is the most dangerous quarter in the year. Because if you do not have a strong business, and new clients coming into your business or new contracts signed, you have the tendency to say, it's okay, it's a slow season, I'll take the summer off. I want you to take time out all the year. I was in the spa when I wrote, but I had this great idea. I want you to take time out of your business every day. But people kept telling me there's no business to happen in July. Well, I had a full group of people who would speak in the middle of summer, and I had hundreds of people show up for this event.
Wow.
And I was doing it to prove a point. I learned a ton. It was a hot mess. It was bumpy on the back end, but I used it to catapult my self-confidence, my network, the people's lives I was able to transform. And to be honest, I look back and go, that was pretty crazy. But crazy people will change the world. And it was time to create something new. And I have since created other events, and it's much more confident and it's much more put together. But I just didn't wait. I recognized if it's not out there, it doesn't mean that there's no demand for it. It means you must do that. And you need help and trusted partners to help you figure it out because you might be the great swan on the stage the day of, but underneath the table, your feet are paddling hard and you're like, I'm really nervous.
Absolutely.
And you're like, okay, but am I more scared of closing the door or walking through it and learning and iterating? And I'm like, I don't want fear ever to be at the end of my life saying, I wish I had. And that just drives me. It
Absolutely.
always does.
Absolutely. That is such a powerful, powerful story. And we would love to learn more about the events and especially some upcoming events, which I hope that you would share with us
Mhm.
when we close. But you made mention something about the wrong mindset during COVID. How have you seen, and I know that you've been very diligent about shifting the conversation, changing the conversation amongst business owners. Um, with the type of business owners that you work with, how has things changed since we have now that we're somewhat coming out of a pandemic?
Mhm.
How do you see the mindset of creators right now, or the business owners that you work with?
I think there is a recognition more than ever that the time is now. And the runway is actually shorter. And that's why I think I would just openly challenge all of the entrepreneurs listening to this show is people say there's no money in a recession. And we are low battery. We've been through a lot of emotional turnover. We've had a ton of change. And yet our insistence that the time is now is getting louder. And yet our runway is in fact shorter, because if we had banked money, it dissipated. If we thought we could guarantee work, lots of people have seen layoffs. And the truth is your runway is shorter. The urgency is driving. And yet the biggest excuse is sitting in a group of people that say, one day I'll do that. You need to shift out of it. And what I do find when people certainly come into my ecosystem is they are attracted by the clarity. They're attracted by nobody else is giving me, call it tough love, but the truth without the sparkle around it. And it feels true, and I can observe it being true. And so the question that gets asked is, tell me what it's like to work with you. And I always say, more importantly, is your engine on? Because I am not in a place, nor will I ever be, and I have tried, trust me, I've tried. This is just a lesson I learned. I cannot convince you. My job is not to convince you. I'm a thinking partner for you, and I will leverage everything I've done, all the knives in my back, all the millions we've created, and all the dots I can help you connect. But my job is not to convince you. And so when we're looking at creatives right now, there's two camps. The engine is lit, it's time to go. They're my crowd. There's the other ones that say, I am going to need you to convince me that now is the time. I said, that's not my audience.
That's not
And
what I
you're
do.
not truly connecting to your creativity, because the creativity is a self-expression. I said, we think we have fallen out of belief that we're creative people.
Yeah.
I said, spend some time with a 5-year-old. It is inside you. And people say, I don't know what I want. And I would say, bleep, bleep, I don't believe you. I think you want to ask the question, what's the whisper that's incessant? Is the engine on? It's time to step into it and recognize, honestly, your best gift is that you do not have to go solo. You are your own engine, but you do not have to be your only fuel source. Find
That's
people.
that's really powerful. So would you say this goes to a mindset as far as with business owners being able to change that mindset? How much time do you spend with your business owners to not necessarily to convince or to um, where they're at the place where they know that their engine is on?
I think the question, one of the exercises we circle back to in and around my business all the time is write the letter. Where do you want to be a year from now? What's the permission you need to give yourself? We give tools and techniques to help them with that. Because I said at the end of the day, this must be a non-negotiable for you. And we talk a lot about non-negotiables. We talk about the 3 pillars to create business success are non-negotiable. They are ever important. They're not going to be important one season and one trendy color. They're always going to be here 100 years from now when we're creating businesses. So a really important question we always talk about, and as a mentor, I will challenge, what are your non-negotiables? And everybody has a different set. And I said, okay, you need to tell me what they are. That's a safe space. And as I watch and observe, and we build and we iterate and we shift and we go forward and backwards, we will regularly check in. Are your actions supporting your non-negotiables? Or if not, what are you hiding from? What is no longer non-negotiable? And really, how does it ebb and flow? Because some seasons are Mach 10 with your hair on fire, but you can't sustain that. So other seasons, I said, it's a slower path. I said, that's fine as long as you don't take your foot off the gas, because you said your engine was lit. You can be in first gear, just don't be in 0 gear. And I think one of the big differences between that hobby approach and those that really create business success, and success means lots of different things, is the decision it's non-negotiable and the decision to stay in movement. And truthfully, physics would tell you the object in motion stays in motion, takes less energy than starting over. And when I was watching so many people give up on their dreams and deciding your job is to convince me, I said, no, it's not. You're the engine. You must decide you're non-negotiable. And you tell me the speed at which you want to travel in this season. Because that ultimately compounds. Some people will build a business in a year, some will take 20. But your actions go back to that really simple foundation piece. And so I think it's so important to sit and reflect and to hear this with great love. You must be your own engine. Is it lit? And if it's lit, time to go, even if you're in first gear. Time is waiting. And, you know, if you're a person of faith like I am, I said, I am here to do something.
Mm-hmm.
It is time to do that thing. This is why we're here. And
Absolutely.
I look at the board, I look at all the things that scare me, living daylights out of my business all the time, and say, I have two things that sit on either side of my workspace. One is a reminder that life happens outside the comfort zone, and all the permission slips I need every day to remind myself to keep going are there. On the other side is the vision of what the impact I will create through the actions I take are. And I go, I'm scared. I won't let fear hold me from here. Somebody needs what I have to offer. Somebody
Absolutely.
needs the light I must choose to create. I must also lead myself. That says, today's been tough. I'll take my lumps, but I won't quit the field. I'll just regroup. And tomorrow, my non-negotiable is I will show up, at least for that 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, a lot of things can be made impactful.
That's absolutely powerful. I do think that moving with a sense of urgency, that forward movement, continuing to move with that inertia to keep moving forward. And I think also having the mind understanding as business leaders that what we have to offer is not just about making money, that we really do want to be able to make that impact either to the region or the people or the territory that we're assigned to. So I think that's really powerful. Well, Christine, I want to shift us to a place of that leadership mindset because this is the Women's Leadership Mindset series. And I personally believe that every woman is a leader and that they do have a controlling area of influence where they have a particular domain, they have a particular cause, and they are able to influence a certain people, territory, or region. So, with that in mind, with the influence that you carry as a leader, how would you describe yourself? If you had to describe yourself, what kind of leader you are, whether it's a transformational, transactional, or there's all different types of leadership types. What kind of leader would you say that you are?
A big part of what I am is a visionary. And what that means for me isn't that I am the only creator of the vision, but I will hold it for you unerringly. And so one of the reasons why people want to work with me said, like, this is my whisper. And I said, you tell me the vision. I will hold it when you wobble. And I get out of bed for possibility. And I think when people want to spend time in my space, I actually just released a podcast actually today. It came out. We talk about 3 kinds of leadership. Self-leadership, of course, is the most important. But are you a leader who can gather facts? Are you the leader who can interpret the facts? Are you the leader who can take action based on the influence of the outcomes and the data that you see? Very few people get to that third level, which is where the execution comes in. So I said, I will hold the possibility and call you to take the actions, because that visibility piece of what you see, we can create. And when you're not seeing that, that's where my strength is the strongest. And said, I can see what you cannot. If you ever wobble, phone me. And whatever you can see right now is just the very front lens of all the possibility that lies behind that first step. So when I say, let's go, I said, that vision is huge. Sometimes that's overwhelming to us. And sometimes as we start to run, we go, who am I to dream so big? And said, you wouldn't have the dream if you didn't have the ability to build the capability. So recognize that vision is there. I will help and hold you to see it, but I will also help you figure out what are the skills and capabilities we need to get you there. Because if you don't take the action, the universe is magical. It just keeps reminding you, hello, pay attention. Hello, pay attention. Hello, pay attention. And you must equip yourself, because here's also the thing nobody tells you in the world of leadership, is it's an acquired skill.
Yes.
You are constantly acquiring it through adversity, through
Mhm.
decision making. And when someone had said to me a couple of months ago, what is it that you do? I said, I help people build consistent client growth. I said, actually, that is the result. It's not what you do. What you do is help people make better decisions so that they can lead their path. And I was like, that feels really audacious. Not sure how I feel about that. That feels really audacious. But if I sat with it for a while and said, actually, I'm a thinking partner. I'm here to be a sounding board to help you make better decisions. And decisions that you take at the very heart is self-leadership.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's really powerful. So, as far as how you cultivate your own mindset as a visionary, what type of tools or methods do you utilize to either to maintain or to enhance on the type of leadership mindset that you have as a visionary?
For me, first and foremost is actually stillness. And I spend the first hour of my day tech free. I spend the day getting up. I usually move. I spend some time journaling. I go back to really take a reflection of the journey. So personal time before the chaos and somebody else controls and hijacks my agenda, I get really focused on what is my focus, what are my priorities, what are my next steps. The second piece to me that's really important is I am keeping a 5-year journal about my first 5 years of this business as a mentor. And I don't go necessarily back to look at it, but I do know when we talk about drive and we talk about taking steps, we overestimate how much we can accomplish, and that can sometimes lead us to feel crappy about our journey because it's missed expectations.
Right.
But when I look back and go, wow, was that only a year ago that I did that first thing? And you're going to go and launch hundreds of these episodes and go, wow, this was the first one. It's important to measure the progress, not just the destination. And then the third tool for me, which is really important, is constantly figure out who is in my inner circle. And it's, inner circles from just cheering for me, which, my husband and my parents and my bonus kids are all very supportive of, we know you love this and we love seeing you shine in this. But my inner circle for business is different. They are peers who call me to rise, who when I wobble, I create safe space. And when I step into that inner circle, we have a strong female to female pact, and it's almost all women. And it's this: you must walk into that space with an ask. That's the hardest bit of it, I will tell you, because we give easily. We ask and it's hard. And I said, you need to walk into that space with a give and an ask. And you must be equal in your contribution because we are co-creating together.
Hmm.
And when you wobble, you can say, I'm wobbling. And it's like, okay, and this in my life is not working very well. It's like, what do you need? I need this. Sometimes
Absolutely.
it's a hug, sometimes it's chocolate. So I'm like, can you take my clients for 2 days because I've got a crisis going on? Sure, no problem. And that inner circle that you need to curate it if you don't have it. One of the first important things I knew in leadership for myself when I was starting my business is most people don't have a strong inner circle. They don't have people that believe in them. And when clients have worked with me long term, one of the most important things they say consistently is, you were the first person who believed in me and said, that vision is awesome. How do I help you get it? And then from there, I said, there's something even bigger beyond that first vision. Do you want it? If so, again, how do we get you there? And belief is everything. Having an inner circle that holds you accountable, that calls you to rise, and who says, it's a crazy idea, let's go do it. That's how you
Absolutely.
break the mold. It's so much more fun. But those three things to me are really important to managing the mindset because I'm not a unicorn. There are tough moments. There's moments I wobble and go, nobody will ever want to be my client, and I have no friends. And I just get into that spiral. Like, I have those moments pretty still regularly. But then I remind myself, what am I grateful for? What actions do I control? Am I focused on the things that make my business move? And if not, I'm responsible to take a course correction. And then I have to trust. I have to trust that in its time, my job is not to convince you. My job is to be here and to confidently have your trust that I will be here a year from now. And so often, ironically, what happens to me in my business, because I've been at this for a while, is people come back to me and say, I've watched your business move so much, mine has not. I know I needed to hire you a year ago. Now it's probably time that the engine's really lit. I'm like, okay, let's talk about what is it you want to do. And I said, that's a beautiful moment. You have to have the trust that it will happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Christine, I love the impact that you're having right now in our immediate space with your immediate circle of either family or your supporters. How would you like, or how would you like future generations to be able to benefit from the work that you're doing today?
I think it is about living a legacy today. And what I mean by that is care, show up, drop your agendas. And I think, when I look at how do I want even my daughters to show up, I said, I want you to have the hard conversations. I want you to own your creativity. I want you to own the lens in which you see the world. And I really do hope, multi-generations down, we bring back critical thinking. You do not live in the construct of a box. You are not what somebody else defines your worth is. And we have really run to this place with social media to really think if I don't get the likes, I'm not valued. I will tell people this because social media is a double-edged sword. You have to be visible. You do not have to use social media to do that visibility. But 99% of my clients don't like and engage in my social media before their clients. So you can have the wrong message. I want you to critically think. I want you to hold your vision. I want you to say, I can create anything. And I hope that we bring back this connectedness for many, many generations. That would be a beautiful legacy. And I always want to know awesome people doing awesome things. Whether I can support you, I will do my very best to cheer you, support you, connect you, and shine light on you because I think the world needs more of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I would say, Christine, as we prepare to wrap up, if there was a tip or either a piece of encouragement or a resource that you could give to someone who is either maybe still in that convincing stage where they might still they're still revving up their engine and hadn't quite decided to move forward, and while we know that's not your responsibility to convince them, what tip or what level of encouragement or resource would you give them that would maybe encourage that engine to start up a little quicker?
I think it would be the simple truth that this is your inner circle's role is like your current place might not be the people who breathe life into you, but strangers will cheer for you faster than maybe your friends and family. And so find community would be my tip. I do run a community. You're welcome to come join it. It's a free community for entrepreneurs. It's a private community for the reason many of us are closet entrepreneurs when we start. We're not public about it because we're criticized about it. We're uncertain and we don't want the world to see that. So we're trying to figure it all out before we get there. I knew that that would exist when I first started my business. I created a community. And I will tell you this, if your husband, best friends don't understand your vision, that's okay. That's not their vision. Somebody will see your vision, take you at face value, cheer for you, breathe life into you and say, I don't need the backstory. I need to know where you're going. And hey, let's link hands and go there together. Your future is what you create. Find communities who will breathe life into you. If you don't have one, create one. The world is asking you to step up and change the conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is so powerful. Well, Christine, I know that we're coming to a close. It was such an honor for you to spend some time with us on today to really give us some wonderful jewels. And as I said, this is definitely going to help me. And I also believe that it's going to help our audience of entrepreneurs, regardless of where they are, whether they're at the startup or midway or even in maturity. So thank you for giving us the gift about being able to once again connect heart to heart and definitely be able to connect to our creativity. So I know that before you go, you have a free gift for us. You're actually providing an invitation for a 1 hour webinar, How to Scale and Attract High Paying Clients Consistently Without Complicated Tech. So tell us a little bit more about your gift.
Yeah, I'd love to. This is one of the funnest things I do in my business, and it is the roadmap. So many people like, if I just knew how to get there, I would go do it. Well, I'm giving you the how. Please take the invitation and run with it. This is the roadmap. I only do this event live. Why? Because energy matters. I'm going to show up. I want you to show up live, and it's going to be what makes sense. It's simple, easy to execute, and people who are really truly ready to make impact come along to the webinar, learn the roadmap. If you are there live, you will have the invitation to come and spend some time with me. It's not a sales call. I honestly am gifting this to you to help you get where you want to go. And if you do decide you need help, we'll cross that bridge when we need to. But truthfully, energy matters. Help me build the trust with you. Come into the space and you will get a lot of value out of that 1 hour exchange of energy.
Well, that is awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. It was such an honor to share with you, especially on this maiden voyage. You have made this a beautiful experience. So there's going to be you're a tough act to follow.
They will rise to the occasion. I have great faith in my peers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Sojourners, we trust that you enjoyed our very first virtual installment of the Women's Leadership Mindset, starting right now in 2023. We trust that you took some great copious notes, as people like to say, from our special guest, business mentor and consultant, Christine Campbell Rapin. So be sure to take advantage of her free gift. We're going to put more information in the bio so that it's available to you. Be sure to also connect with Christine on her website at www.christinecampbellrapin.com, as well as feel free to reach out to her as far as email, hello@christinecampbellrapin.com. And please feel free, if you need to, give her a call. Is it okay to share that?
Yes, absolutely.
Give her a call. Absolutely. So that's 1-587-434-9944. So we thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on today. This is Teresa Page of Teresa K Page LLC. And as always, here's to the journey, and let's move forward.